This is a story that I think is going to hit home for a lot of parents out there. It's about one parent's journey from fear and control over their teen's social media to something totally different, connection and coaching. And it's a really powerful shift in thinking.
It all starts with this moment that I bet so many of us have lived through. You see your kid on their phone, and just a few minutes later, something is off. The parent in this story said it perfectly. Their teen's shoulders got tight, their movements were clipped, the entire vibe in the room just changed. And it all boils down to this one single nagging question. And there it is, right? That quiet little question that just pops into your head and sits there. It's not just about what they're looking at, it's about how it's making them feel. And that not knowing, that uncertainty, it creates a really tough spot for a parent to be in.
So you find yourself in this spot, right? Just completely pulled in two different directions. You have this deep instinct to protect them, but you also know, deep down, that pushing too hard could just make everything so much worse. It's a real dilemma, and there's no easy answer.
I mean, this just lays out the catch-22 perfectly, doesn't it? Option 1, you step in, you demand to know what's wrong, and you probably get a shrug, an eye roll, or worse, a slam door. Option 2, you stay quiet, but then you're left wrestling with that awful feeling that you're failing as a parent. It feels like a total no-win situation, which usually leads us to one very predictable instinct.
And that instinct is control. Now, it comes from a good place, right? A deep-seated need to protect our kids from getting hurt. The logic is, if I can just manage the device, then I can manage the danger. So, you pull out the classic parent playbook. You download the monitoring apps, you check the screen time reports, you start threatening to take the phone away. The parent in this story did all of that, telling themselves it was all for their teen's own protection. But there's a pretty big problem with this approach.
And wow, this quote just nails the problem, doesn't it? This was a huge insight, one this parent learned from the Social Media Research Institute. The controlling approach was completely backfiring. Instead of bringing their teen closer so they could talk about what was wrong, it was just pushing them further away. It shut down the very conversation that needed to happen. And that realization, it led to a massive change in mindset.
This is the pivot, the big shift from being a warden, someone who enforces rules and builds walls, to being a coach, someone who builds skills and offers support. And this isn't just about changing a few words, it's about changing the entire dynamic of your relationship.
So let's really break this down. The warden demands to know what happened, but the coach asks how it made them feel. A warden threatens to take things away. A coach helps build the skills to handle it better next time. The focus totally shifts from rules to support. And the result? It shifts from distance to conversation.
And all of this points to one massive realization. Real online safety? It isn't hidden in some parental control setting. It's about giving your teen the internal skills they need to navigate that online world on their own. And that means you need a new toolkit.
Okay, so if you're gonna be a coach, you need a new toolkit, right? One based on some really smart concepts. The idea here isn't about just reacting to emergencies, but about creating everyday practices that help keep them mentally and emotionally healthy online.
All right, first up in this new coaching toolkit is something called social media harm reduction. And honestly, the best way to think about this is like stretching before you go for a run. It's about building daily habits and awareness that proactively lower the risk of getting hurt online. It's preventative.
And then, the second piece of the puzzle is social media first aid. If harm reduction is the prep work, this is what you do when your kid is already in that moment of distress. That tight shoulders, phone-clutching feeling we talked about. It's the in-the-moment response that gives them immediate support. And it all depends on totally new ways of talking to them.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the new communication tactics are actually pretty simple, but they make a huge difference. Instead of grilling them, you just explore how they felt. You validate their feelings. Yeah, that sounds really frustrating, before you jump in with advice. You become a team, noticing the physical warning signs together, like a racing heart or a clenched jaw. And this last one is huge. You reframe the problem. Feeling bad online isn't their fault. It's often because the platforms are designed that way.
Let me give you a really concrete example of a technique they actually practice together. It's called a short exit. Step 1, notice the cue. That feeling when your heart starts racing or you get that urge to just scroll faster and faster. Step 2, the action. Just put the phone down for 5 minutes. That's it. Step 3, the reset. Go outside, grab a drink of water, do something totally different. The goal here isn't to ban the phone. It's just to hit the pause button on that negative spiral before it really takes hold.
So, what happens when you make this shift? What's the ultimate outcome?
Well, it wasn't just about better social media habits. The biggest change was something much, much deeper and way more important for their relationship.
And you know what? This completely shifts the burden for parents. Suddenly, you realize you don't have to be this tech wizard who knows every single app and viral trend, which is impossible anyway. What your kid actually needs from you is so much simpler. They just need to know that when things get tough or confusing online, you are their safe place to land.
Because here's the ultimate lesson, the real takeaway from this whole journey. All the rules, all the monitoring, all the restrictions, they are nowhere near as powerful as a strong, trusting connection. When your teen knows, really knows, that they can come to you without being judged or punished, that becomes the best protection they could ever have.
So this whole story kind of leaves us with a question we all need to ask ourselves, right? When it comes to our kids and their digital lives, which role are we playing? Are we the warden, focused on control and locking things down? Or are we the coach, focused on building skills and making a connection? Because this parent's story really shows that making that shift, it can make all the difference in the world.